Look at our family farms. EPA says family farm expenses typically exceed $47,000, but only 1 in 4 of those family farms produce a gross income of more than $50,000. It's tough. It's tough being a small farmer. It's a little bit different being a big farmer. $5 billion in USDA farm subsidies for the state of Ohio alone in the last 15 years. A single farm received $5 million over those 15 years. 7 farms received over $3 million, 18 over 2. 251 farms received over $1 million over 15 years. These are subsidies in the level of $60,000 a year. These aren't subsidies that help Snowville Creamery. These aren't subsidies that help Green Edge. These are subsidies that support the growing of corn and soybeans with Roundup and the feeding of that corn and soybeans to livestock. We are subsidizing unsustainable farming. And when, as last year, we export 10% of the ethanol we make in America with subsidized corn, with unsustainable farming methods that mine the carbon out of the ground and put Roundup down the Mississippi River. We are mining and extracting the resources of America to sell it into international commerce. We sold ethanol to Brazil last year. So the Farm Bill, I'm told as a member of the sustainable farming community that I'm supposed to line up and get with my congressman to get my fair share of the Farm Bill. I say to heck with the Farm Bill. I don't want any part of it. It's dirty money. I don't believe in it. And I think the idea that we have to depend on the government to subsidize and capitalize our sustainable agriculture is demeaning. It's disempowering. I believe that we're powerful enough to do it ourselves. Don't ask me to go sucking up to a congressman for a check for Snowville Creamery. I won't do it. I may go to my food community and ask you to help with community financing to finance the capital improvements that we need to continue to grow. We need to learn how to do these things ourselves. I'll tell you a Snowville Creamery story. In 2009, America's dairy farmers were paid as little as $12 per 100 pounds of milk, while their cost of production was $17. It's the most disastrous year of dairy farming in American history. These are all the results of the federal programs we have, of the Farm Bill, of the commodity agriculture system that exists here. They had to borrow and take on new debt with a total value greater than all the dairy cows in America. But at the same time, Dean Foods and Dannon Yogurt and Land O'Lakes and all the other companies that buy milk from the farmers were buying it for $12. They were making money hand over fist. And the dairy farmers were roundly cussed when Tom Vilsack, the Secretary of Agriculture, put together hundreds of millions of dollars of more subsidies to the farmers that got them paid basically $15. But you taxpayers put up that $3 difference that kept them from going completely bankrupt. And that $3 that you taxpayers paid to pay the dairy farmers money, Dean Foods and Dannon didn't have to pay for their milk. They made their greatest profits in their history. My brother happens to be the president of Daisy Brand Sour Cream, the largest sour cream company in the world. He described their profits that year as unconscionable. This isn't sustainable. USDA's dairy pricing arm, the Federal Milk Market Order System, has the supposed goal of fairness and price stability. It was established in 1937 with 3 stated purposes: to ensure an adequate supply of fresh grade A milk, drinking milk. This was a problem. Most of the milk was only good fit for cheese. Has been a problem for decades. Guarantee a fair income for farmers. What a quaint idea. They didn't understand about the invisible hand back then, I guess, I mean, you tell me which is cornier, the invisible hand or papal infallibility, please. to ensure that farm income was comparable to that of urban factory workers so that farmers and their families would stay on their farms. Farmers used to receive about 50% of the retail price of milk. And I'm not talking back in the Stone Age. I'm talking about when I got out of college here 30 years ago, 40 years ago. They now get less than 30%, a 40% reduction. It's actually, I think it's approaching 25%. This system is failing farmers. You want to talk about orderly marketing? This is 1963 to 2009. This is the price that farmers are paid for milk. Do you see how efficient and effective our federal government system is of giving price stability? Pretty good, huh? You're fired. The FMMOS requires Snowville Creamery to pay into a regional milk pool a portion of our sales. For this system, these monies are redistributed to all the dairy farmers in our multi-state region. Since most milk is produced on large confinement operations, those operations receive the majority of the payments. This is our obligation at Snowville Creamery against the same $ chart as against our profit. The blue line is our obligation to pay into this system, and you see it only starts after we've been in operation for about a year and a half. That's because they give you an exemption when you're so small it doesn't matter. But as soon as you get to a point where you're about a fourth as big as you need to be economically viable, it kicks in. Our profitability, you can see here, that was our net loss that month. We lost over $20,000. At the same time we did that, we wrote a check to the Federal Milk Market Order System for $10,000 in a month where we lost 20. Oh, isn't free market capitalism a wonderful thing? This is the system that's put in place by Dean Foods that controls half of the milk in America. Until our sustainable local businesses like Snowville Creamery are not forced to fight bullies like $5 billion a year companies that get our federal government to do things like this, we cannot have sustainable agriculture. You'll have companies like Snowville Creamery in the condition we're in now, which is, I say, we are like a cat hanging on a wall. This is our obligation per 100 pounds of milk that we buy as a red line, and this is against, is the blue line, and this is against something called the PPD, the Producer Price Differential. One of these arcane formulas, they figure out what everybody's supposed to get paid. Again, you know, free markets, right? Sort of. You see the gyrations of our obligations? We pay about $20 a hundredweight. I think we're paying maybe 24 right now. We can get told at a moment's notice, every month we get told how much we're going to pay into this, and it can be 10% of what we have to pay the farmers for milk. You see how predictable it is? Great way to run a small business, isn't it? That's what we have to live with. I'm no poker player, but anybody that's gotten into poker understands anything about poker. You got to have deep pockets to play poker, because you're going to get cleaned out every once in a while. Well, when those things spike up, we get cleaned out. I hate it when people say, oh, Warren, you just need to budget better. Budget for that? This is ridiculous. This game only benefits the big players because it scythes away their little competition. GM.